Hey, what's up, everybody? Just decided to do a little night stream. I really wanted to kind of check out my new microphone setup, see if it's coming out a lot better. I think that being a lot closer to the mic, it's probably going to have a little bit better quality, I'm guessing. And I'm hoping that that comes through in my live broadcast. But one thing I really want to talk about today is something that I think episode 3 of the Bad Batch set up, and that's this possibility that Wrecker very well may end up going or he might execute Order 66. Let's just put it that way. And I think that there's a legitimate chance that this happens in the next few episodes, and I think they foreshadowed that in the 3rd episode. Hey, what's up, Alexander? How you doing? And I'm not entirely 100% sure how I feel about that. Although I do trust Filoni to pull it off and have it have an emotional punch, which I think he's really going for that in this series. Well, so in the episode, he hits his head when they crash land, and he's holding his head in the same spot where the inhibitor chips are. And I don't think that that was just coincidence. And, you know, some people have said that maybe, you know, he used it as an excuse to stay on the ship so he could build that room for Omega, which I think is a possibility. But really, I think his head was really hurting. And here's a guy who I think above and beyond his incredible strength, I think he also has probably accelerated healing, I would guess, as part of one of his enhancements or whatever. So the fact that his head was still hurting later on, I think in the episode, I think that there's something wrong. I don't think it was that he hurt his head in the crash. I think that maybe it activated something in this chip, and then that's what's continuing to hurt him. Now, where this would go if they do this is that it would take Wrecker, who is the most formidable physically of all of the Bad Batch, and could possibly turn him against his brothers, kind of like what Hulk does in Age of Ultron. Was it Age of Ultron? In Age of Ultron, where he just kind of goes nuts after Scarlet Witch, after Wanda messes with his mind, and Tony has to take him down basically using Veronica. And this would make it really interesting to see how the different members of the Bad Batch are able to react to Wrecker going Hulk mode. You know what? And the thing is, I think that they'll pull it off. If they do it, I think they'll pull it off really well. And it's not like they're going to have Wrecker have it activated and have it stay activated. We saw Tech working on some kind of thing to so he could try to find the inhibitor chips and probably to understand them more. And I could see it being kind of a race against time in some way that he can deactivate the inhibitor chip in Wrecker, because I mean, are they going to be able to take him down and hold him and so that they can take the chip out? I really don't think so. I think this guy is such a brute. It'd be really tough to knock him out long enough for them to be able to find some way of surgically removing it. So I think there might end up being something where Tech creates something that will deactivate his inhibitor chip. And that would be huge for in the future, how they handle future characters that they run into that have orders or that have the inhibitor chips, which still doesn't mean, like, let's say they help deactivate the chips in Gregor and Wolf. They could still decide to remove the chip after the fact. So they could deactivate the chip so it's not working, and then they could be like, all right, just to be on the safe side, we're still gonna go in there, do surgery, remove the chip. So it'd be interesting if maybe Tech making this technology to deal with Wrecker, which he's already working on, but if all of a sudden Wrecker goes Hulk mode and he's coming after them, trying to take them down because they're the enemy now, because they didn't follow orders, then they could motivate tech to really work fast to create this device. And if they're able to deactivate it, that could lead into the story of them finding Rex and then them finding Gregor and Wolf and taking their chips out and maybe deactivating them with whatever device tech is creating. But I do think, as much as I don't like the idea, because I think Wrecker is like a pure soul, as much as he's violent and he enjoys the violence, if you think about it, his violence that he's had, that everything we've seen is against droids. They're not against living beings. And he seems to have a huge soft heart for Omega. I think a lot of it is because he's at the same mentality, same age emotionally as what Omega is, and maybe she's even more emotionally mature than he is. So I think that there's that kind of bond there with those two. But I think that Wrecker, for him to become violent in a way where he's angry, would be a different side of him than what we've seen. It's not him having fun destroying droids, it's him trying to kill his brothers, which would be kind of heartbreaking to see, but it also would be such a good moment when they're able to deactivate his inhibitor chip and he's able to come to his senses, and to see if maybe there's some like growth in his character after that happens, that maybe he suddenly he's a gentle giant. Maybe he becomes less hip on the violence afterwards because he feels so bad about what he did to his brothers. Can't remove it, possibly kill them. You know what? They did that with Tup. I don't think they're going to go that route with any of these other clones. I don't think we'll see another clone have their chip removed and then die. If I remember right from that arc in the Clone Wars, didn't the Kaminoans, weren't they somewhat responsible for Tup dying because of the operation? I mean, Fives didn't die, Rex didn't die, Wolf, Gregor, none of them died. And I don't think once we get the rest of the Bad Batch's chips out, I don't think any of them will die. Even though I still think there's a chance that Crosshair dies after his chip is removed, but basically because of him sacrificing himself to save the rest of the Clone Force 99, I think there's a really good chance that it turns out that way in the end. The whole idea of Crosshair being redeemed last moment and dying, which we've seen, Vader happened to him. He goes back to the light for just minutes before he dies. Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, goes to the light for however long it wasn't very long, and then he dies. I think this whole concept of these characters that do these horrific things not being able to be redeemed, be seen as redeemed by the rest of the galaxy, so there's really no path for them to exist still within the galaxy alive, and then so they get killed off, I think is something we're going to see with Crosshair, because in episode 3 Crosshair really did, that was devious. Like the way he just shot that one civilian, or was that a soldier? It might have been a soldier that one of Saw Gerrera's soldiers that he killed, but killed him in cold blood, and then killed one of his own squad members at that point. The fact that he shot at and tried to kill Wrecker in the first episode, and then ordered the rest of the squad in episode 3 to basically murder these civilians. Just seeing the guy line up with the flamethrower and then seeing the faces of those civilians, that's dark, man. He shot a lot of people, and his job before this was mostly, from what we've seen, is shooting at droids. We don't know what missions the Bad Batch went on when they were part of the Republic, where they had to take out living beings. There's a very good possibility that they did have to do some of that, but we've never seen that. We've only seen them, from as far as what I could think of, correct me if I'm wrong, we've only seen the Bad Batch take out droids. But not anymore. Obviously, Crosshair is a murderer. And the question is, can you have somebody come back from that? Can you have somebody that goes that dark, is able to be redeemed, and then everybody else can forgive them and they can go on living a good life? And I don't know if they'll do that in Star Wars. And you know what? Another thing I really started thinking about a couple days ago is that, you know, this whole, like, these inhibitor chips are causing people to do all these evil things. You know, I don't think we've ever gotten I'll touch up on Cody in here in just a second, but we've never gotten a full explanation for how the dark side works. In the book, oh gosh, what is it? Oh my gosh, what is the book with Asajj Ventress and let's see. Oh my gosh, Asajj Ventress book. It is hold on a sec. Dark Disciple, with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos. When Quinlan Vos goes to the dark side, he does some pretty evil things, but he's welcomed back into the Jedi Order because, according to that book, the dark side, you know, falling to the dark side made him do those evil things. It almost like an inhibitor chip, like where they weren't in control of what they were doing. So, you know, we look at Vader and the evil things that he did and the things that, you know, Anakin did. You know, Anakin had fallen to the dark side by the time he killed those younglings. So who was responsible for those murders? And you look at Kylo Ren, the same things. You know, he killed his father, but it was the dark side that made him do it. And I wonder if Star Wars is going to go that path where obviously the inhibitor chips are causing people, clones, to do some evil things, and it's not really their fault because they're mind controlled. But is the dark side some semblance of mind control where the individual doesn't have the power to make their own decisions, and the only way for them to be able to make their own decisions is for them to come back completely to the light? And it'd be interesting if they give that kind of narrative down the line. What about Cody? So the only things we've seen from Cody so far, like as far as I know from canon, is him trying to kill ObiWan, which he did not succeed in doing. So Cody could definitely be redeemed, because the one person that maybe if he had his inhibitor chip taken out, you know, if there's that guilt afterwards, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? The one person that he thought that he killed didn't die because of that. So is there a chance Cody could be redeemed, I think, but I don't think he will. I don't think that's a good story. I think the better story is for Rex to have to have a conflict with Cody, and for, you know, you have the clone trooper that was able to resist just enough so that Ahsoka could get his chip out, basically, and then you had Cody that just turned around right away and shot without a second thought. And after everybody knows, after they know that there was inhibitor chips that caused this, you have, you know, who is Cody, the good soldier that doesn't care, that basically says, I'm not going to get my chip out, and you know what, the Empire is my boss, I'm going to do what they say, and he has a loyalty towards them. And, you know, does Rex have to deal with the fact that one of his best friends is basically evil now and doesn't want to become unevil, I guess. Cody might have a special job in Kenobi series to kill Kenobi. Yeah, let's touch on that here in just a second. Hey, what's up, Syndicate? My theory is that Crosshair and Wrecker get the chip removed and maybe confront Vader if Tarkin considers it. Yeah, that would be quick death for both Crosshair and Wrecker, though. Quick death. I think Vader takes him out. My theory is on Crosshair, and I think this would just be the best storyline, even though it'd be heartbreaking, is that they're able to capture Crosshair, they're able to get him subdued, and they take his chip out, and even after his chip's out, he basically decides to stay loyal to the Empire. That even though the inhibitor chip definitely helped the Empire control him and get him to do things that maybe he would have had second thoughts about, but it wasn't the inhibitor chip that made him stay loyal to the Empire. It was just who he was, because he was kind of a dick in season 7 of the Clone Wars. He didn't really necessarily have the warmest feel towards everybody else. But yes, if Crosshair and Wrecker get their chips removed and confront Vader, I think there's a legit chance that Vader shows up in this series at some point and wipes out one or more of them out. I think the only one that's for sure to live, I think there's almost zero chance that they kill off Omega. I think we see her in the future. My thing with Omega is I don't think that she has the accelerated aging. That would be my guess, and that she'll be around in like the Mandalorian timeline, whether it's a Ahsoka series, Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, and I think we're going to see a live action Omega as an adult, but not like an older adult, not like there's accelerated aging. I think that even though they give the accelerated aging to the Bad Batch, considering they made Omega with the purpose, and that they were keeping it from the Empire, there was no real reason for them to work the accelerated aging into her. And I could be wrong. Maybe they'll just, to keep things consistent with the other clones, maybe they'll have it where she has the accelerated aging. I just don't think that that's going to be the case. Let's see. I think they might recreate the comic panel of Vader slaughtering a whole rebel battalion with Bad Batch and give them a Halo Reach-ish ending to them, aka killing them. But that's a wild theory like the others. That's what's great. There's a lot of theories about this show right now. I haven't been this excited for like where a series is going to go since WandaVision. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier never gave me these vibes of I don't know where it's going to go, and I don't know who's going to live. I don't know really what's going on, and in the excitement of really not knowing where the characters are going to go, because we don't know that any of the, we know Tarkin's not going to die, obviously, but we don't know Nala Se, Lama Su, this new Admiral Rampart could die. Any of the members of the Bad Batch could die. We don't know who's going to survive this series or this season or however long it's going to be. Okay, so Alexander, Cody might have a special job in Kenobi series to kill Kenobi. I think that it would be really unwise of them to not use Tamara Morrison now that he's back in the fold and have him play Cody in the ObiWan series. I think that it would be way too good to have him having to try to hunt down Obi-Wan. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they could have Cody hunt him down and find him on Tatooine, because once Cody knows that Obi-Wan's in Tatooine, then Vader knows that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. Unless if some way, somehow, he happens upon Obi-Wan just on accident without reporting to anybody where he is, and Obi-Wan kills him before he can let anybody know like what planet he was even on. Because the moment that Cody even has an inkling of a thought that maybe Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, then the Empire knows Obi-Wan's there, and that really screws up the storyline for A New Hope. So the only way for Cody to, I think, have a confrontation with Obi-Wan is for it to happen off planet, and for Obi-Wan to leave Luke, feeling like Luke is safe with Owen and Beru, and leave for a while for whatever reason, and for him to happen upon Cody. And in that instance, I think that could be very powerful, especially if they had a conversation about loyalty. And and the thing is, does Obi-Wan, it's a question, does Obi-Wan have any clue about the inhibitor chips? I think that's going to be a big question in this, because if he has no idea about the inhibitor chips, when he comes up and sees Cody, then in his mind, it was just a friend, somebody that he saved just, a week before, however long that battle was at the beginning of the last arc of the Clone Wars. He saved his life, and this was a friend that turned on him and tried to kill him. And if he knows about the inhibitor chip, then that could be a different situation, and maybe Obi-Wan tries to talk him down. But if he doesn't, then this is just somebody that tried to kill him, and it could be a pretty emotional scene. And I really do hope that they find a way of working him into the series. Maybe Clone Force 99 joins the Empire just because in like the comics of something there was a squad that looked oddly like Force 99. I don't see Hunter, Tech, Echo, and if they don't have the inhibitor chips working in them, in Wrecker, I don't see any of them joining the Empire, and I don't think the Empire has any desire to have them unless if their chips are working. I think Ahsoka will tell Obi-Wan about it, and then Obi-Wan tries to talk to Cody. This is the interesting like thing about if Obi-Wan and Ahsoka see each other again, because they both think each other are dead. It would require probably Bail Organa to have a mission for Ahsoka where she has to give Obi-Wan information, and it might have to be something that's so like secret and important that they can't just send it over the airwaves or however they would send information normally, but Ahsoka needs to tell him. So first Ahsoka would find out that Obi-Wan's alive. Obi-Wan finds out that Ahsoka's alive, but this is the thing, Obi-Wan knows who this Darth Vader guy is. He knows that it's Anakin, and Obi-Wan would have to withhold that information to Ahsoka. And that right there, like if Ahsoka just asks Obi-Wan, hey, you know what, you're alive, is there any chance Anakin is still alive? And I think, think about that. Like Obi-Wan would have to look at her, and in a certain point of view, Anakin is dead, but he would have to withhold the information about Anakin being this Darth Vader that the galaxy's hearing about. And I think that would be heartbreaking. Let's see. And then Obi-Wan tries to talk to, I think seeing Obi-Wan talk to Cody, and if he knows about the inhibitor chip and try to convince him to get the chip out, would be interesting. Obviously with his abilities with the Force, if there was any kind of situation where Obi-Wan was able to subdue Cody without having to kill him or whatever, I think he would definitely do that as somebody that it was a friend. But if it comes down to a situation where he feels like he can't safely get Cody subdued so he could take out his inhibitor chip, or there's somehow a threat to them finding out about Luke if Cody stays alive, then I could see that being a heartbreaking scene where Obi-Wan has to kill him. Since Ewan McGregor did say film with someone special, that would be cool. Like if the someone special was Cody, like Tamara Morrison. Like it wouldn't be like somebody special where like if people that are these huge movie like overall movie fans would be like, oh, this is some like thespian actor who Ewan McGregor got to work with. But it's special to Star Wars fans where you saw Obi-Wan talking to an old friend. That would be pretty awesome. If they play around with that, they have to consider about what they did in Rebels and not ruin the story there, and not have Obi-Wan tell her and make another loophole. Yeah, they gotta be careful. I understand that they're gonna retcon some stuff in the comics and the books, and that's just gonna happen. There's just they've already shown that they're willing to do that, which is one of the reasons I had a book on my shelf behind me. You can't see it in the video, but it's New Dawn, which is like the prequel to Rebels, and I got it, and then Kanan's story got retconned, Caleb Doom's story got retconned, and I've been less motivated to read this story about Kanan and Hera, because I don't know that story is still gonna hold up in canon in the future, because they're starting to make these retcons. But I do feel comfortable that Star Wars will have consistency with their canon when it comes to actual TV and movies. I feel like they're not going to make a bunch of retcons on those and contradict canon. Let's see, because the theory is it's either Hayden, Rosario, Yoda, Tamura, or maybe even Ray Park. Ray Park had some naughty things happen in his life, and he's not working with Star Wars right now, from what I've heard. So it could be Sam Witwer playing Darth Maul, as far as the voice on that, and then finding somebody else to do and then finding somebody else to actually play him physically, because I'm sure Sam Witwer isn't able to do all the acrobatic stuff that Ray Park can. But yeah, we already know that he's worked with Hayden, though. We already know Hayden's in it, so he wouldn't be talking about Hayden. Rosario would be cool. Like, that would be awesome. Yoda, Tamuro. Hey, what's up, Ollie? How are you doing? What are my thoughts on the Starkiller Theory for Bad Batch? If they did it right, like if they were creating Starkiller, this is my problem with that. And I've never played the games, but I saw just how powerful Starkiller was. They'd have to tone him down. There's no room in Star Wars canon for somebody as powerful as what Starkiller was in The Force Unleashed. So they would really, really, really have to tone that down. Good. Me, I'm doing freaking great. I'm just sitting back, having a little Star Wars talk, and then I'm gonna get a good night's sleep, and then I've got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. So when I get off work tomorrow night about 9-10 Central Time, I'm gonna get on and we're gonna have a nice little Battlefront 2 session tomorrow night. Tonight, I want to get on, to be honest with you, tonight, but I just know that I've got one more day of work before my little time off, and I don't want to go in tomorrow like feeling like crap. So I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna get on Battlefront 2 tonight, no matter how much I want to. I think they'd have to make him as an Inquisitor gone rogue, and then the story play out through there. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Joe? How are you doing today? Make him as an Inquisitor? That's honestly, that could be kind of interesting. He would be, I think that they can make him the most powerful Inquisitor, but at the same time, if he's an Inquisitor in or if he's around during the Bad Batch storyline, I think that he also has to die in the Bad Batch for him not to be around and not be one of the main ones going after the rebels in the animated series. So I almost feel like if they brought him in to the Bad Batch, he's gonna have a limited amount of time to live, unfortunately, because I don't see the Bad Batch, even if it's 3 or 4 seasons, I don't see it taking place over more than 5 years. I think that we'll see that storyline come to an end, so that there's plenty of time in between them and when Rebels starts, which, because I think Ezra was like 15, and he was born, I think, on the day the Empire was basically created. But sure, I might shop for that. What do you mean shop for that? But I'm unsure of the lingo there, Ollie. Because I think Ezra was like, oh, show up, nice. Yeah, tomorrow night, like as soon as I get off tomorrow, I'm gonna get things set up and get on for Battlefront 2. You know what? One thing, I am loving my new mic setup. I feel like being this much closer to the mic just makes me more comfortable. I'm not moving my head around like I was watching some of my videos where I was basically bobbing my head everywhere when my mic was kind of down below, and it was just it looked silly. It looked like a freaking crackhead. Disney would have to be smart with Starkiller. Maybe have the original person who carries said DNA and have a show based off of him. Yeah, I appreciate it. I love it, and it's the same mic. But I don't have to have it up as high, so it's not being distorted and it's not picking up as much background noise because it's closer to my face. I can have it just lower, and I think that helps with a lot more of the bass, because I don't have a lot of bass in my voice anyways. But it definitely makes my voice sound a little bit more deep, I guess. Yeah, I would. You know what? If they have Starkiller, maybe they show him a little bit in the Bad Batch, but then he has his own thing going on. I think that could be pretty smart. But at the same time, Good singing mic too. Yeah, if you don't want to hear me sing, I'll just put it that way. Not without some extreme auto tune. Have the host of the DNA die first and then clone him? Possible. I'm just kind of wondering where Starkiller would fit within the story structure of everything we're gonna have between Revenge of the Sith and Rebels, because I think that's where this huge time period is, this 15 years where we don't know really what goes on, and the question of where Starkiller would, how he would exist within that time period, how powerful he could be without everybody knowing about him. But then at the same time, we have the fact that, in canon, Ahsoka existed as Revenge of the Sith was happening, and nobody mentions her. So you could have him so he existed at some point in this timeline, and nobody mentions Starkiller because they just don't mention him. It's kind of possible. So I guess there's ways they could do it. And once again, we trust Filoni. We trust him to make the right decisions. Hopefully, this is one thing I really kind of hope. I'm hoping that Filoni is kind of working on getting somebody to be his, for him to mentor in the Star Wars stuff. Because obviously George taught Filoni so much. Now Filoni needs to make sure that he has somebody else that really truly gets the passion. Isn't one of those nerds that knows every single fact about Star Wars, but totally understands the lore, understands the mythology, those types of things, understands what Star Wars is really about. Because if something happened to Filoni, man, Star Wars could be in huge trouble. Death Troopers for Bad Batch, it makes a lot of sense for them to introduce Death Troopers. Will there be another Clone War? Like, you're talking like a clone, like the clones uprising? I think the Kaminoans could very well have an uprising where they have clones loyal to them fighting against clones loyal to the Empire. I think that's going to happen. So there will be kind of another Clone War, but it'll be clone versus clone. Okay, so why would it be impossible for Death Troopers for Bad Batch? So Death Troopers were around for Rogue One, right? That's where they were introduced. Yeah, I want to look at this real quick. Death Trooper, let's see. They were Death Troopers, looking up on Wikipedia. Elite variant of the Galactic Empire Stormtroopers designed for stealth, espionage, and lethality. Operating under Imperial intelligence, they served as protected details and bodyguards for significant Imperial officers, members of Tarkin Initiative, as well as Special Assignment Commandos. Where do we see them first? Subgroups, locations, affiliation. Age of the Empire. So they're around creation of, okay, which sometime between 1 and 3 ABY. I'm not gonna read all that. Let's see. Maybe they take inspiration from old Battlefront 2 campaign mission and have a clone rebellion. Yeah, I think that's possible. So if the Clone War ended, do you think there would be another one? The Clone War ended. I don't. So how do you, like? It's called the Clone War, and because the Republic used clones as their force, so you could call something else, Clone War 2, and not necessarily have it mimic what the first Clone War was. So yeah, it's possible if it's clone versus clone. That's the way I see it, is clone versus clone. Oh, mean impossible and having another Clone War? Yeah, I mean, in the way that it was before, yes, because the Separatist isn't going to rise up again, or the Confederation of Independent Systems is not going to rise up again. I don't think they're going to go that route. It would literally have to be a revolution attempt by the Kaminoans, realizing that they have no place in this empire and that they better start making money moves. and so they get these troopers loyal to them, and there would be a fight of clone on clone. Someone else starts cloning either the same people or different people, and then they're a clone. Oh, so you're talking about somebody. Sorry, typos. Yep, stupid typos. You know what? There's possible. I mean, even at some point, if some other organization creates more clones of some type, and there's some other kind of clone war that could be kind of interesting, especially, you know, I don't think that the Empire wipes out every single Kaminoan, which maybe we find out they do. Maybe they wipe out every single Kaminoan. There's this genocide where there's not a single one left, which would be pretty dark. So there could be somebody out there in future timelines that creates more clones, and that could be kind of interesting for a post like Mandalorian world, where there's this new clone army. And this is, you know, if we saw that Dr. Pershing in The Mandalorian had the clone insignia on him, and there were other people that had the clone insignia on them. So at some point, humans got involved with the cloning process, and I'm guessing almost forced. Like Palpatine at some point tells the Kaminoans, you're going to start working with some of these humans on these things, otherwise we're going to completely pull your contract. And then after the Kaminoans train some humans to do it that are loyal strictly to the Empire, then maybe all of a sudden, boom, they just decide to kill all the Kaminoans because they don't need them anymore. And that, once again, could be pretty dark. But hopefully the Kaminoans are smart enough that they would find a way of still surviving, even if Lama Su and Nala Se are, I think they're dead at some point. Maybe even in this series. I don't think that they're still around during the original trilogy, even, which they could be. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. I'm going to sit back, relax, drift away into dreamland, and get ready for my double tomorrow at work. Get off tomorrow, get on some Battlefront 2, be toxic as possible, and just have a good time and enjoy my 3 days off on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that's all I got for today. May the force be with y'all. Have a great night.